You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Obviously flying solo for the time being. Jacob may be able to hop on here in a second. We'll see if that pans out. I know Tim's taking care of business. Emilio's out with the missus for birthday festivities. So we just got a couple topics I wanted to dive into here, and I'm sure the chat will be lit up as well. So looking forward to talking with everyone in there. So a couple things came across the pike earlier today that I wanted to hit on. One was an article on 8 coordinators who could make headlines during the 2024 NFL season. We're going to hit on that. We're going to dive into some statistics around that coordinator's specific unit, specific side of the ball. We've also got another article that talks about the offensive line rankings according to PFF. So we're going to dive into that a bit. And we're going to kind of go over some of the advanced analytics, some of the metrics, such as blown block percentage, which you guys know, I think that is one of, if not the most important statistics there is. You know, many people focus on sacks allowed. Well, if your quarterback is making the first guy miss, it means someone probably blew a block, right? And he was able to make the guy miss. That's not a positive for that specific player. And when I hear that stat that, hey, this guy didn't allow a sack, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But you can dig a little bit deeper and really understand, okay, what happened? Why did it happen in that regard? So that's kind of what we're going to dive into tonight. We'll see how long the show goes. Again, flying solo. I've been on the phone all day long, so I am just about talked out, to be honest with you. But I am looking forward to hanging out with everybody in here. Let's give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. We got M. Smitty, we got Bates, we got Mr. Larry Cano. Good to see you, bub. Let's see here. Who else? Dick's in the chat. We got Eric Sutherland, of course, with his profile pic. Good God almighty. Dane Stromstad in the house. Good to see you, bub. We got Greg Coleman'sberger, one of the coolest names on the web. Josh Valanningham, another cool name. We got Reef. We got Rock Cod, which is a.k.a. Deadfish. We got Chris Nichols. Man, there's a ton of people in here. Respect Oranges. Good to see you, bub. CJN in the house. We got Polly J. We got everybody in here. All right, awesome. So let's do this. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor this evening, and that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. Wisconsin-based since 1992, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source. You got offices next to Lambeau Field and in Milwaukee. For your convenience, you can go right into their office and talk to them about purchasing tickets, but also you can click on the link in the video description here that'll send you to theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. It's the most convenient way to handle it. Have them shipped right to your door. Just minimize the hassle, right? But again, some people are old-fashioned like me. Sometimes you like to go into a storefront and chat with people face-to-face and see if there's some deals that might not be on the site. So you can do that, like I said, at both those locations next to Lambeau Field and in Milwaukee. So again, that is Ticket King, theticketking.com, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. We appreciate them sponsoring the show. So let's just dive right into it here. Let's start with the article on the coordinators. I think this is really cool. Now, if I were to say to you guys, hey, one of our coordinators made this list, I guarantee everybody go, oh, it's Jeff Hafley. It's definitely Jeff Hafley, right? Because the title reads 8 coordinators who could make headlines during the 2024 NFL season. So you would think, yeah, everyone's talking about the buzz around town being the fact that Jeff Hafley has taken over for Joe Barry. The defense is going to get better. It's going to be more aggressive. There's going to be more man coverage, all these things that we have mentioned, although none of us really know exactly how the defense is going to play out. We've kind of played the guessing game up to this point. But when you kind of look at that, you would think, okay, this is about Jeff Hafley. Check this out. This really surprised me a touch. So 8 coordinators who could make headlines during the 2024 NFL season. All right, we'll just kind of dive right into it. Number 1 here is Zach Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. All right. So he is the new offensive coordinator. Number 2 is, and again, they're not ranked. It's just these are 8 coordinators to kind of keep an eye on. Shane Waldron with the Chicago Bears. You guys know I've mentioned Shane Waldron several times, especially 2 years ago when he was with the Seahawks. He had that offense humming. He kind of rejuvenated Geno Smith, right, as the OC in Seattle. Now, obviously, last year they kind of stripped the slate completely down when they decided to let Pete Carroll go. And now I think they got, Mike McDonald that's in there now. So he's now with the Bears, he being Shane Waldron. So if Shane Waldron can kind of rejuvenate, the career of Geno Smith, you would think if Caleb Williams is that generational talent we talk about, he should be able to do good things with him too, right? Now, you guys know I've been very, very vocal about Caleb Williams, and I've been skeptical of him for 2 years now. Even the year that he just absolutely lit it up, I'm like, man, I really don't like the antics. I don't like the me, draw the attention to myself from the quarterback position. You want to do that at wide receiver, it's cool. Cornerback, it's cool. Someone who's a flashy defensive player or even a running back to that matter. But the quarterback being the leader of the team, I feel like he needs to be seen and not heard, if that makes sense. So I'm eager to see what Shane Waldron can do there in Chicago. So he's on the list. Ryan Grubb from the Seattle Seahawks. So obviously he takes over. It says Grubb led one of the nation's best offenses in Washington, which produced a ridiculous 7 draft picks in 2024, including 6 in the first 3 rounds. The coordinator's development of Michael Penix Jr. and 3 NFL caliber receivers in Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan was remarkable. So that's who's taken over as OC in Seattle. So you got Shane Waldron going to Chicago. Now you've got Ryan Grubb coming from the Washington Huskies, who was the number 2 team in the nation. They obviously got beat in the national championship. Kalen DeBoer goes to Alabama and takes over for Nick Saban as head coach. And then Ryan Grubb, their OC, goes to the Seattle Seahawks to be their OC. Another one is Anthony Weaver for the Miami Dolphins. We won't dive too much into that, but that's another one on the list. Next on the list is Jeff Ulbrich. I think I'm saying that right. Ulbrich, maybe, for the New York Jets. Okay. And it talks about one of the great NFL mysteries is why Ulbrich is not already a head coach, despite enduring a Jets offense that has finished 26th, 31st, and 32nd in his 3 seasons as the team's defensive coordinator. Ulbrich has largely done nothing but churn out a pristine product. New York's defense was exceptional in each of the past 2 years, I should say, ranking 3rd in EPA per play allowed in that span. So obviously, Robert Saleh always gets the credit for the Jets' great defense, right? It seems like he's always being mentioned when you talk about the Jets' defense, and rightfully so. It's his defense, right? So Jeff Ulbrich, the DC, probably setting himself up to be a head coach. If he was an offensive coordinator and having the success that the Jets had on defense, if he was the OC and the offense was, ranking in the top 5 every year, he'd probably already have a head coaching job. But it seems like teams, and I agree with this philosophy personally, I don't like the idea of a defensive coach being the head coach. That's just me personally. When you look at the great coaches in history, not that there haven't been great defensive-minded head coaches, but most of the time, those defensive-minded head coaches that were really good, if you dig into their past, they've got a wide variety of experience. Like Belichick, he was designing the offense and the defense. He had his hands in everything. He was also doing the college scouting, some of the college scouting. He was handling the draft process. He was all over the place, right? But again, there have been great defensive coaches that's went on to be head coaches. It just seems like the majority of the great head coaches were offensive minds. So that's probably why Jeff Ulbrich hasn't gotten his opportunity as head coach yet, or at least here recently. So next on the list, check this out. It is not Jeff Hafley. It is our boy, Adam Stenavich. So OC for the Green Bay Packers, Adam Stenavich. Let me zoom in here just a little bit more. This is what it says. The Packers' 2023 offense was a thing to behold, mainly because of how well it – how do you say that word right there, boys? I ain't even going to try it. I'm pretty sure it is the verb for coalition, right? Coalesce. How about that? Coalesce. Let's go with that. Coalesce despite very little experience. This is one of the reasons why I don't like sports writers. Like you could say, hey, man, they really gelled well. You could talk like an athlete. It's okay. But people try to be so cute with their writing. So the Packers 2023 offense was a thing to behold, mainly because of how well it coalesced despite very little experience. In his first year playing as a legitimate pro, Jordan Love flourished, finishing with an 83.2 PFF passing grade. He was helped by the youngest receiving core in the league, but one that didn't look phased whatsoever. The team got real contributions from players like rookies Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Tucker Kraft, and Luke Musgrave. As an offensive expert, head coach Matt LaFleur, I love that they referred to him as an offensive expert, by the way. Head coach Matt LaFleur tends to receive the bulk of the praise in operating Green Bay's well-designed offense. Funny, his best friend Robert Saleh was who we were just talking about getting all the praise for the defense in New York, right? And I think, don't get me wrong, I think Matt LaFleur should get the bulk of the praise. I really do. But it says where was I at? The bulk of the praise in operating Green Bay's well-designed offense, but Stenavich should get his flowers too. The former Michigan offensive tackle transitioned from coaching the offensive line to coordinating an entire unit, a shift that most would consider daunting. Assuming the Packers offense stays in rhythm this year, the 41-year-old Stenavich, still very young, obviously, should pick up some steam as a rising coaching candidate. So it's pretty cool to see Adam Stenavich get a little bit of praise here, right? And I actually knew that he played for Michigan. I seen that one day. I was watching an old game, and it was like in the 80s or the 90s. I think it was the 90s, if I remember correctly. Might have been the early 2000s, but I caught an old Michigan game, and they mentioned Adam Stenavich by name, and I went, no way. Sure enough, did research. He played offensive tackle for the Michigan Wolverines, which was really cool. So, yeah, pretty neat, man. So with that being said, when you talk about this offense and Adam Stenavich and what exactly they did, I'm going to drop this down now, and let's go and kind of look at the numbers real quick and see exactly how they fared, all right? So what we're going to do to determine this is we're going to dig into a little SIS data, okay? And hopefully I can explain to you guys and gals exactly what we're looking at here. So you guys know points per game is my big statistic. Points per game and points per game allowed on defense. To me, those are the most important statistics. And I know many people think that doesn't tell the whole story. Nobody said it didn't that it told the whole story. It's simply, if you had to say what's the most important statistic in all of football, for me personally, as a fan, I want to know how much points they allowed and how many points they scored. And if anyone disagrees, and I've said this before, so you're telling me you would rather have less rushing yards than less points allowed. Okay, so winning isn't important. You just want the stats to look good, right? That's me personally. That's how I see it. So points per game, in my opinion, is the most important. Now, you can get into some other statistics, which we will, but let's start off with points per game because you guys know I've been talking about the offense being like 10th or 12th in the NFL. Well, this is through February 12th, obviously. If you go in here and look right here where Green Bay is in the number 8 spot. So they averaged 23.8 points per game. All right. So they're a legit top 10 offense, primed to step into a top 5 scoring offense. Right now, the cool statistic that I really like is right here in the second column. If you adjust that, which is the last 3 games, you can really see how this offense over the last 3 games was just absolutely humming. Green Bay jumped from 8th to 4th in points per game when it comes to the last 3 games of the season. I thought that was really cool. So really it was the next to last game where they just blew up, because in the final game there, if I'm looking at this correctly, they scored 21 points, I believe it was. So just really interesting to see how the offense really kind of finished strong last year. And I think it's a testament to Matt LaFleur, but even equally so to Adam Stenavich. And it's one of the reasons why PFF in that article mentioned Adam Stenavich. And I apologize to everyone in the chat. I know we got a bunch of people in here. When you're flying solo, it's hard to pull the chats up on the screen, but you guys, I know you're in there having a great conversation. I'm sure Eric Sutherland is in there causing trouble like he always does, but hopefully y'all are having a good time. But I appreciate y'all. I wish we could take the time I just don't want dead air while I'm trying to read the comments, make sure it's appropriate, Eric, and then put them on screen and answering questions. So you guys would forgive me for that. And I know, like I said, we got a bunch of people in. Just take a quick second, hit that like button for us. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. I think we've got 92 in here on YouTube. That would help the channel out immensely. If you just hit that like, it'll boost the algorithm, help other Packer fans find this channel and find this content. Also on Rumble, we've got 35 people. So if you guys hit the like over there, that channel is absolutely blowing up too. And we got several people on X as well. But we got Jacob joining us now here. The beard is in the house. Jacob, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, Clayton. I'm still buzzing off the weekend. Had a great time, man. It's good.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Good weekend. Really sets you up for a great week ahead, unless you had too much fun and then you find yourself, not getting in the rhythm till about Wednesday, if you know what I mean. A lot of Tylenol, but anyway. So we're just sitting here kind of talking. I just read an article where Adam Stenavich was one of 8 coordinators that was highlighted by PFF, saying he's kind of set to break out this year and maybe step into his own. Matt LaFleur gets a lot of the praise for the offense. So we were just kind of looking at some of the offensive numbers, and I pointed out that the points per game, Green Bay finished 8th. So he's got that offense humming. But what's really cool is look at the last 3 games registered here. They jumped all the way to 4th. So they really finished the year strong. And that seems to be kind of how Matt LaFleur is, right, man? Like he starts off slow, and then next thing you know, he's just absolutely lighting it up at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, and I wonder, a lot of that too coincides very well with Jordan Love's kind of his season. I mean, I think it was very fair to assume that Jordan Love and the offense, just for how young they were, for how unexperienced they were, the fact that they could kind of even get it together halfway through the season is kind of a testament, in my opinion, as to how talented the group is, and 2, I think of Matt LaFleur's coordination in that offense, because you can't just I don't care how good of a coach you are, you can't just throw a bunch of guys that are talented out there, give them a playbook and say go learn it. There has to be some sort of implication or some sort of extra measure that Matt LaFleur is I would argue an offensive genius. And I think it's really cool this year because we can let him maybe dive into that offensive playbook, focus on that part, and then he can actually let hopefully Jeff Hafley take over that defense. And then we both have these dynamics. But as far as the offense goes, man, I mean, I think that this year it's going to be, I don't want to, get too excited or anything like that and be right. The Bears fans-esque and say, oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl every year. I do think that it's pretty incredible when you see a guy like Rashawn Gary, who, again, we talked about, he said, you guys don't even know what's happening right now. You don't even know how good Jordan looks. You don't know how pinpoint apparently he is in practices that we are not able to see to the public. So right. I trust Rashawn Gary. That dude does not just randomly coach speak. He doesn't.
Yeah,
so
definitely, man. Let's go to the chat here real quick. Andy Watkins in the chat. Good to see you, bub. He says, love the channel. Big fan since 95. There you go, man. Got to see the 1990s there, that great run that Favre and the Packers went on. M. Smitty says, in the words of Greta Thunberg, how dare you? We need that sound drop tomorrow. How dare you? Clay, I always think of the memes that everybody put together. It said, how dare you? And then it shows some big diesel throwing black smoke in the air, But anyway, it's a joke. It's coming. But it says, Clayton, not want dead air. I was telling him it's kind of hard when you're flying solo. You can't really read the comments because you got to proofread and make sure that Eric Sutherland isn't saying something inappropriate before you put it on screen. You end up with dead air. But Smitty went on to say, well, there goes the pod. The uncultured, non-cannoli experienced Jacob has joined. So had another one of those cannolis that Emilio bought last night, man. I downed one of those right before the show. So if you see the camera cut off and the chair's spinning, you know what happened, right? That happens from time to time. But another thing to look at on offense, another key statistic, in my opinion, is the points per play. Now, we talked about points per game. They finished the season 8th. When you go to points per play, Green Bay jumps up one spot to number 7. And to me, the points per play, if someone says, okay, yeah, you scored points per game, gotcha. Well, did the defense do a good job and put you in position, with short field? I feel like points per play gives you even a little bit more detail as to how good that offense is. So just wanted to point that out, that they jumped to 7th in points per play. And then in points per play, the last 3 games of the year, look at that, Jacob, number 2 on the list. So again, just more confirmation that Adam Stenavich and Matt LaFleur had this thing humming.
That's also interesting too, because you look at those top 2. That's Houston and Green Bay, which I would argue are the 2 most up and coming teams in this league, with the 2 best young quarterbacks in this league.
Definitely. Now, when you look at the running game, what did they need to improve on in the running game, right? So if you looked at the running game itself, how did they perform? 4.4 yards per attempt. Okay. Now keep in mind that does include some of those end arounds and stuff, although I feel comfortable in saying probably a majority of those jet sweeps, if you will, were actually touch passes, right? Those little pop passes, which goes into the stat column as a pass. But nonetheless, Packers came in at 4.4 yards per rush, and that makes them tied for 7th best in the league. So the running game was actually pretty stout. Now, again, that was Aaron Jones. I think we all feel comfortable in saying if Josh Jacobs leans more back into how he played in 2022, it shouldn't be a huge drop-off. It may even improve from Jonesy. But I definitely don't want to be that guy that's just like, yeah, now that Aaron Jones is wearing purple, let's pretend like he wasn't a good running back. We got to keep it 100, as the kids say, right, Jacob?
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. You know, my son started collecting football cards. I had no idea what the heck I was doing, so I went out and bought him one of those binders you put all the cards in and all that kind of stuff. Turns out, card collecting has come a long way since when I was a kid, and that's what people did. Now, there is a new way to buy, sell, and trade cards. It's called Arena Club. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the all-in-one trading card platform that you have to sign up for. Over at arenaclub.com/packdaddy. We actually did a whole YouTube video about this. I would encourage you to check it out. It is a fantastic website. You can, as I said, you can buy, trade, sell, but also you can display all of your cards right there on the platform. It gives you all of the grading. They'll even grade your cards. Their grading combines AI as well as human grading to get the most accurate grading of all your cards. And right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/packdaddy. That's arenaclub.com/packdaddy for 10% off your first purchase. You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service. Your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons. That's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Yeah. I will say too that it's a really weird scenario. As you guys know, I kind of have a fantasy football lens usually when I'm looking at this kind of stuff, even if I don't want to. And I cannot tell you how many. Josh Jacobs is one of those guys where you have some people saying that he's a top 5 running back. You have some people saying he's in the bottom 25. Like there was, and what's crazier than that is because they're like, well, just look what he did last season. And that was a very struggling Raiders team that really did not have a lot of great O-line depth, did not have a great offensive vision, in my opinion. But if you just go 1 year prior to that, the guy was literally the best rusher in the NFL. So you have to be able to cut through that fat and let the cream rise to the top, as they say, because I feel like that this dude, if given a good scheme, which we just talked about, how Matt LaFleur is going to put this guy in position to have a good season. And more than that, I think that the thing is, number one, first, I should say that I did not expect us to be ranked 9th. That to me blew my mind right there.
Right.
I thought we'd be sub 20 for sure.
And you know why, Jacob? Because the PFF grades shows our
Right.
offensive line perform poorly, right? And it kind of felt like that because Jonesy was making guys miss, right? So I think there's a little bit of that to it. Do you agree with that, or do you think it was maybe the offensive line wasn't fairly graded? What do you think, man?
I don't think Aaron Jones has ever gotten enough credit for how good he is. And I will go to bat for saying that guy makes people miss in a phone booth almost as well as anybody that I've seen. He's never gotten the national media coverage. He's never gotten that kind of clout as being like a top whatever kind of running back. But I'm telling you, man, if that dude's healthy, and I really am worried that the Vikings are going to absolutely try to utilize him like quote unquote the Packers should have, which means that they're going to try to turn him into an Adrian Peterson or somebody that runs 20 to 30 times a game. Also adding the fact that they're going to use him in the passing game. If they're smart, they won't. They're going to use him in the same amount of rushes that we did, and they're going to use him in the passing game a ton, and they're going to bring in Ty Chandler to kind of spell him. But I don't know if the Vikings are that patient this year. That being said, last year, man, I really do think that people I really hate how they ended the Aaron Jones experiment. It's always going to be kind of a hard pill to swallow for me. That being said, I feel like Aaron Jones could have met us halfway. I think that he really could have. And he did meet us halfway. I shouldn't say that. I think that Aaron Jones could have probably tried to stay in Green Bay a little bit more, but I think he got offended. And I think that maybe there were some other prior types of negotiations that maybe led him to think like, hey, they're doing it to me too, and that kind of thing. And the one factor that we're not talking about here is, I should say, two factors. AJ Dillon taking a absolute, you talk about a team-friendly cut, a team-friendly deal. There's nothing that's even been closer than what AJ Dillon does. And the fact that we drafted Marshawn Lloyd, who is, the more people that I listen to podcasts, they're like, that dude is the best running back that got drafted in that draft. There's people saying that over Jonathan Stewart or who are the top two that everybody was so excited about? They're talking Marshawn Lloyd easily better than those guys. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And, again, when it comes to the rushing yards per attempt, when I turn on the tape, I notice the running backs kind of making chicken salad out of chicken. You know what? That's just me. And I'm not saying I'm right there. That was kind of my assessment, right? Again, anytime I give an opinion or what I thought I saw, I'm not saying, hey, here's how it is. Anyone disagrees is wrong. I'm just simply stating my opinion. I kind of feel like that's how it was. But honestly, it's probably somewhere in the middle. All right, we got a bunch of people in there, 115 on YouTube. Let's keep cranking it, guys. If you just jumped in, appreciate you joining us. Just hit that like button for us, help boost the algorithm. I think
we're still on YouTube.
Still on YouTube. Imagine that, man. We still
how about that?
Made the cut. So let's go to the chat real quick. Chat is absolutely lit up. Let's see here. Rick Kruger in the chat, or Krieger. I hope I'm saying that right. Krieger.
That's Kruger.
Kruger? All right. Did you see our offensive line is ranked 14? You've been reading the show notes, sir. That's actually the next thing we're going to talk about. So, I did see that, and we're going to hit on that. Rick, appreciate you bringing it up, Rick, for sure. I've got that stuff keyed up next. Let's see here. Andy Watkins says, my dad has a signed Reggie White ball in his cardboard box still. Haha, man. Hey, we love that type. Jacob is a sucker. Jacob and Tim are an absolute suckers for that old memorabilia, right? Old boxes of cereal that's stale, and you got all of it. Show them something, Jacob.
This is one of my favorites. It's a 1997 Packers team collectible, random, just semi. I don't know why. Nobody knows why. They just made it. I had to buy it.
Trucker John would love that, for sure. Hope you're doing well.
Tim is notorious for having a few daddy sodas and then just going on eBay.
Yep.
And then his wife is like, why is there 13 boxes in my front yard?
Yep, exactly, man. It's funny, and the thing that Tim does too, living in Green Bay, he is great at just hitting these yard sales and stuff. From what I understand, I think you guys call them something. Down here, we call them yard sales. I think they're actually called rummage sales or garage sales or whatever. But we call them yard sales because everybody just throws stuff in the front yard like, hey, come by and buy something. And people do, believe it or not. That's just how it works in the South. But, he's come away with some absolute gems. That's one of the things me and Mandy did when we were in Green Bay too. We hit up some of the pawn shops, some of the old pawn shops and stuff.
The best thing that you can do, especially if you're in anywhere in Wisconsin, is you go to Goodwill. Goodwill you'll find all the best like 80s, 90s. It's usually older people that have had this stuff in their closets for years. They and they take great care of it, and then they just give it away, and then you buy it for $5. And it is I have so many hats and jerseys of all that. And then the other good thing, if you ever want to be I used to live obviously in Nashville, you go to the Goodwill in the rich town. So I would go to the Brentwood Goodwill, and I would find some of the nicest clothes and shoes and belts and all sorts of stuff for like $2. That's what you got to do, guys. It's like dumpster diving a little bit, but
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's see what else we got in here. M. Smitty says the points per play helps negotiate out the statistical outliers for blowout games. Completely agree. Let's see. Rick in the chat says LaFleur was ranked 6th best head coach behind Reed, Shanahan, John Harbaugh, McVay, and Tomlin. We actually hit on that. I think it was last night. Had a great conversation about it. It was either last night or the night before. Yeah, that ranking, it's hard for me to disagree with that ranking. There could have been a couple people kind of shuffled around, but for the most part, I didn't see anything too bad about it. Zachary Hill says, this channel is a nice reprieve from the presidential debate fallout. God bless you guys. So it's when you come up on an election year, you just hold on tight, man. And again, I will always stand by my comment and say, first of all, both sides have lost their damn minds. And then second of all, it's amazing how people who have gotten along perfectly fine for the last 3 years all of a sudden hate each other because rich politicians tell them to. That blows me away. But anyway, appreciate the compliment. That is a great compliment. That's what we strive for here. Eric Sutherland says, Jones was a stud. Definitely going to miss him, but I think we'll be fine. Completely agree. Smitty says, Jacob, if they do, the biggest issue will be, can Jones stay healthy given his injury history? I'm not rooting for Aaron Jones to get hurt, Jacob, but I'll tell you this. There is something in the back of my mind going, I would take the under on just about every bet on him, because if he's been banged up in the past, I know what it's like as you get older. It doesn't get any better, fellas. I'm just telling you, unless you're a quarterback, of course. But you think he'll stay healthy this year, Jake? I know you're not wishing injury, but what do you think, man? You think that's kind of a gamble for Minnesota, right?
So I'll phase back to my last statement on Jones, and that was kind of my point, is the fact that the Vikings are not patient this year. They have Darnold, who they're hoping can drag them across the finish line, even become a 800 or a 500, team. And that's, it sounds like JJ McCarthy's not coming along. It sounds like they got Justin Jefferson, they got Jordan Addison, and they got Aaron Jones. And they're going to try to use Aaron Jones a lot because they need him to perform. And Aaron Jones, the biggest knock on him when he was in Green Bay is that we don't use him enough. Remember when it was there used to be like actual podcasts and stuff being like, run Aaron Jones. Like it was a big thing. And we learned quickly why we don't do it, because the second that he started getting over 15, 20 carries a game, the guy was kind of made of glass. And I just, like you said, man, you get older, you don't get stronger when you get older. I keep telling myself every day, I'm like, I got stronger. No, I didn't. I got weaker. I got fatter. I got grayer and everything. And it's just the way of the world, man. And Aaron Jones, I feel like Aaron Jones is going to be, I feel like the Vikings are going to want to get the most out of him. They are squeezing every single last bit of juice out of Aaron Jones that they can. And I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I hope that he stays healthy. That being said, not when he plays us. I mean,
there you go. Hey, it is what it is. Eric Sutherland says if the Vikings try overusing him, he'll be injured for sure. And then Coach Lynn in the chat, good to see you, buddy, says Aaron Jones won't last if they use him like a workhorse. And I think that's probably what they're thinking, right? I don't think they're definitely not looking at it like, all right, guys, we got to save him for next year too. They're trying to use up the rest of the tread on the tire, so to speak. Right?
If they're smart, and I think this might be what they're doing, because I've actually seen quite a bit of coverage. You guys know Bad Luck Paul, that big ugly son of a whatever. He's a big time Vikings fan, so he sends me a lot. He loves to send me Aaron Jones highlights in a Vikings uniform. So, and it looks like they're using on him. It looks like they're using him on a lot of wheel routes, a lot of out of the backfield routes, a lot of kind of crossers. Like I think that they are going to, if they're smart, they're going to use Ty Chandler to help him spell Aaron Jones in the actual running game, and they're going to split him out, and they're going to do a lot of stuff out of the backfield with him in the passing game, because he is I really do think he's going to be a weapon.
Yeah, one thing I will say about this move for the Vikings is they won't have a setback with him learning the offense, because Kevin O'Connell comes from that whole Shanahan McVay tree. So the verbiage, the style of the playbook, all of that's going to be very similar. So there shouldn't be much of a learning curve. Not that there would be at the running back position for someone as experienced as Aaron Jones. But again, I think the Packers overall made the right move. And what you said, Jacob, you kept kind of riding the fence there on, Jones could have took a little less, but the Packers could have gave a little more. I think you nailed it because it could have, man. Like they asked Jones to take a big pay cut, but at the end of the day, it's like they were within $1 million or $2 million, and it's like Packers, couldn't we gave that too? Let's meet in the middle. Let's meet at $750K. How about that? It'll come out of Jacob's account. Everything will be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it hurts because he was a beloved Packer. When he leaves the Vikings and retires, that helmet right there will be turned back around where you can see the autograph. Okay. In the meantime, it's just the Aaron Jones autograph will be towards the wall. Andy Watkins says, I hope they find a good rotation and possibly use Dillon in the winter more as a Coon type momentum keeper. If that makes sense. It does make sense, man. When it gets cold, Jacob, those boys don't want to hit those big fellers, do they, man? That hurts. Hurts bad.
I mean, I'm telling you, dude, like I don't know if you've ever been up here in the middle of like one of our real bad, like when it's negative 30 and you walk outside and literally breathing through your nose hurts. And you're just like, I can't imagine, having to square up against a 225 AJ Dillon or whatever the heck he is nowadays. So, nah, not for me.
The last game I went to was the Monday Night Football game you and I went to together.
The Rams, right?
Yeah, Rams game. And when me and Mandy went to fly out, we stayed until we got into town Wednesday, and I think we flew out on Wednesday too. So we had to catch an early flight. We had to be shuttled over at like 5:45 in the morning to catch our flight. And sure enough, man, when I got up that morning, there was a bad cold front moving through, and they were expecting it to be like -8 degrees. So I'm thinking it's going to be – I told Manny, I'm like, it's cold, but we got a shuttle. We're going straight into the vehicle, and we'll be, we ain't going to be outside long. I had a full decked out fur and all around the collar winter jacket.
I remember your jacket. Yeah.
I'm prepared. I'm good to go. I walked outside, and it was -6 degrees, and I had blue jeans on. And my quads, like my thigh, right above the knee, it was like someone instantly put a lighter to my skin. I was like, what? I looked, Mandy hadn't been out yet. I looked at that driver and I went, what the hell is this? This is different. This is totally different. Yeah. So it gets down to about 5 degrees down here in Tennessee, and we're all freaking out. That -5, that's a whole different animal, man. Ain't no doubt about that. CJ in the chat says Vikings will rely on Jones due to their quarterback position or situation, I should say. They have to use Jones. Very good point. They're going to have to lean on him, no doubt. You don't expect Sam Darnold to win many games for you, right? CJN said, like the Hawk Tua lady said about the Packers and Aaron Jones, in order to get over someone, it has to get under. See, Jacob gets in here and marks these, and I'm thinking it's safe, and then here I am reading it. And I'm complaining about it and leaving it up on screen, right? Then Angus McTaggart says, if Jacob ice fishes, I bet that's one epic beard sickle. What's a beard sickle look like?
So that's when you I bow hunt and I deer hunt, and usually it depends on what part of the year. When you're ice fishing, you usually have an indoor heater in there, so you're not really. But when I'm bow hunting, if the condensation breathing out, it turns your whole beard into an absolute icicle. And it's actually it's kind of funny sometimes. I have some good pictures.
Love it, man. We got, like I said, a whole bunch more people in here watching on YouTube now. Every time y'all hit that like button, the numbers go up because it's,
why don't I not know this from Eric? This is the most Eric comment of all time.
Eric says, I almost died at Lambeau in December. Got overserved and almost froze to death.
Overserved?
He didn't overdrink. He got overserved. That's how that works, right? So, but yeah, like I said, if you guys are on YouTube, every time y'all hit that like button, it boosts the algorithm. The numbers are just going through the roof right now. We appreciate y'all. We just cracked 200 total, actually 230 live. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. All right, let's do this. Let's get back to the there we go. I'm sorry. CJ and Eric went out there with no shirt on. He went out there with a shirt on, but by the end of the night, he lost his shirt is what happened. I promise you that. So, all right. Not points per play, but this metric right here is NFL team yards per pass attempt. So every time they threw the ball, this is how many yards they average. So again, there's going to be incompletions in there, but you average it over the course of the game. And to me, this tells you how efficient your passing game truly was. When you look at this, Green Bay comes in the number 9 spot, actually tied for number 8 at 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Okay, number 1 was San Francisco, 2 was Miami, 3 Baltimore, 4 Houston, 5 Detroit, LA Rams and the Dallas Cowboys tied for 6th, and then Minnesota and Green Bay tied for 8th. Okay, so that's how that falls. So it just goes to show you it wasn't like they were just a running team. They were also successful in the passing game. And again, we're talking about these metrics because the article mentioned that Adam Stenavich is one of those guys to really, really, look out for this year. He may be setting himself up, Jacob. If they crack the top 5 in offense this year, we may be having to replace our OC, man. They may just hire him somewhere else. I think there's a legit shot at that. So now let's move on to the other topic I wanted to hit on real quick. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody in the chat, man. It was very interactive. That was a great conversation. Offensive line rankings article, okay? And again, some people are going to get mad over this. You guys know, based off of what I seen last year, I wasn't as impressed with the offensive line as most Packer fans. What I seen was Jordan Love making guys miss. Not that the offensive line was a poor pass blocking offensive line, because I thought they did pretty well in pass blocking, but run blocking, it could have been the complexity of the run scheme that LaFleur was running, because he was doing a lot of sifting, a lot of pulling, a lot of power, a lot of pin and pull. Sometimes you guys, heard Mike Wall talk about it from time to time, that sometimes those OCs will draw stuff up on the board and the offensive lineman will raise their hand and go, I can't make that block. I can't get there. Well, they want to run it. Okay, cool. And then lo and behold, you don't get to that point on Sunday. You're back in the meeting room on Monday morning, watching tape together, watching the film, getting graded, and everybody's going, why didn't you make your block? And Mike Wall's like, I told you I can't make that block. I can't get there. Like, it's impossible. So sometimes coaches kind of outcoach themselves a touch. I think there was a little bit of that with the run blocking last year, but for the most part, I did feel like especially John Runyon and Josh Myers really struggled at run blocking. And there was others too, but those are the two that really stuck out to me. Now, obviously, John Runyon is now gone at right guard, so we'll see who wins that job, whether it's if everyone's healthy, maybe it is Jordan Morgan. He was tried at left tackle, left guard, right tackle. But nonetheless, this article by PFF says the 2024 NFL offensive line rankings, Lions take the top spot, led by Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow is just, look at the belly on that guy, Jake. That dude's a hawk. He knows how to block, all right? I talk about offensive linemen like I talk about restaurants I go to. You want to know a good restaurant? Walk in there and look around. If you see some obesity in the room, you're in the right spot. I'm just telling you. These people know how to eat. You're in good shape, especially the cooks. I want to know, if that cook looks like he's a vegan, I'm leaving that joint. I'm sorry. No offense, vegans, but I like that animal. That's just me personally. So with offensive linemen, man, I don't want them to look like they're just, they're a bodybuilder. I want them to look like
we want hog mollies.
Yeah, exactly. If I was going to be in a bar fight, right, I want to make sure the offensive lineman looks like, yep, that's the guy I'm picking right there. That's my dude. Mm-hmm. That's the guy I want covering my back. But let's go through the list real quick. Number 1, the Detroit Lions. Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3, the Indianapolis Colts. Number 4, the Cleveland Browns. Number 5, the New York Jets. Number 6, the Atlanta Falcons. Number 7, the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 8, the Buffalo Bills. Number 9, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. 11 is the Chicago Bears. 12 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Number 13, the Minnesota Vikings. And then at number 14, we have the Green Bay Packers. And here's what the little write-up says. Rasheed Walker, a 2022 seventh-rounder, appears to be David Bakhtiari's successor at left tackle. And while he went through some growing pains in 2023, his 66.3 PFF overall grade ranked 44th among offensive tackles. On the other side of the line, Zach Tom built on a strong rookie campaign and was never better in 2023, or was even better in 2023. The Packers lost John Runyon in free agency. I personally think that's a good thing. But Sean Ryan was rotating with Runyon at right guard toward the end of last season. I don't think that was a good thing, bringing some experience at the position. So they're talking as if Sean Runyon is kind of in the driver's seat for that right guard spot. Again, I think there's a legit shot that Jordan Morgan could win it. I think Jacob Monk is another guy that they're really, really high on. We'll see what he can do. But, Jacob, how do you feel about that, them being ranked 14th in offensive line, according to PFF, of course? Do you agree with that or disagree with it? You think it's right? Should it be higher or lower? What do you think?
To be honest, I mean, I think that's fair. If anything, I would expect us to maybe fall a little bit farther down that list because, like you talked about, I mean, I like certain parts of our offensive line, obviously with Zach Tom and Elton Jenkins, and like the little blip there said, Rasheed Walker has done for being a 7th rounder, absolutely wonderful. That being said, though, we've had such a question mark with the center position. I love John Runyon Jr. for the first 2 years he was here, and then for whatever reason, he took some massive regressions. The guy got paid. I think he went over to Philly, right? Or was it the Giants?
Who was it?
Either John Runyon Jr. He either got paid by New York or by the Philly.
It was either. I think it might have been the Giants, but I think
it's the Giants. I think
I think they would have made a bigger deal out of him playing for the same team as Dad did with the Eagles, right?
That's 100% true. Yep. All right. Yep. I was going to say, Smitty hit us in the chat, but now we don't need to. There you go.
I don't know. Double check it, Smitty. We want to know where John Runyon went. Go ahead, Jake.
He's right. Yeah. Chat's saying Giants. Okay, that being said, the Packers have kind of always had an offensive line that's, I don't want to say tailored together or like stitched together, but it seems like they draft guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round, and they just develop them and they slide them in. And when it's their time, it's their time. When they start to get about 28, 29, they ship them out and they say, thank you for your service. And, as much as people don't like that, I mean, you think about all the guys over the years, especially in the last, relevant years, the last 5 years, guys like Balaga, Corey Lindstrom, guys where people were very upset that we let go. And then what happened at the end of their career, they kind of just tailed off. And, maybe there is something to be said that I think you have to have a little bit of a kind of a cutthroat, no emotional side. And we all know Goody's got that.
He's got that down.
If anything, that boy needs to go watch some like Disney movies or something. He's got to get that heart back, man. I don't know what he's got going on there. That all being said, 14th for how the Green Bay Packers have played, for how we've drafted, for the type of production we've gotten out of these guys, I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. And I'd like to see us take a step this year. Like you talked about, I think Jacob Monk is one of my underdogs that I think could maybe slide in there. But, I hope Sean Ryan does. We've seen nothing from Sean Ryan up until this point. So
I agree, man. Other than he looks like Nacho Libre, and I dig that. He's just, it really hasn't panned out up to this point, especially for a 3rd round pick. It still blows my mind he was a 3rd round pick. It really does.
I know.
It is what it is. If you guys would, I know we got a bunch more people in here on YouTube. Keep hitting that like button as you come in. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. When you hit that like button, it's going to boost that algorithm and help other Packer fans find the channel. I hate to ask, but it works like a charm. And I couldn't tell you how many people are like, I had no idea this show existed. We're starting to kind of get noticed a little bit, and it's a testament to the chat and a testament to you guys sharing the stream and hitting that like button. We appreciate it. So when we talk about offensive line, obviously PFF had them ranked 14th. So you guys know my favorite offensive line statistic, and I'm going to do it as a whole and not individually here, is blown block percentage. I feel like the key to having a good offensive line is just doing your job. Don't blow your assignment, right? There's no one who loves a good pulling guard, pancake block, when the safeties turn and run away from the offensive line. I absolutely love it, right? But when they catch a linebacker at the second level and just peel their cap, I love that. But I would much rather have a lower blown block percentage and less fancy looking highlights for the offensive line personally. So blown block percentage to me is the key statistic. Let's look at it here. And we're going to go by blown block percentage on all plays. Okay, so this is both pass blocking and run blocking. So this is it as a whole. Let's see where the Packers finished. So blown block percentage, 2.751. Okay, so 2.7%. That puts them 9th in the league at blown block percentage. That kind of surprises me. So obviously PFF had them ranked 14th, and the blown block percentage suggests they're a top 10 offense in blown block percentage. So let's key in now, Jacob, on pass blocking. Pass blocking blown block percentage, the Packers are sitting in the number 9 spot, right? So staying right there pretty much where they were at overall. Now, when we go to run blocking, the Packers are in the 10 spot. So what you've seen, maybe not as many blown blocks as I had thought I seen on tape, or at least I remember. Maybe it's just the way I fan too. When something goes wrong, I'm like, come on, guys. Like, because it's like when it was bad, it was really bad. But when it was good, they were pretty steady, pretty solid. Do those numbers surprise you? Because essentially what this is saying, Jacob, is the Green Bay Packers actually have, if you're just going strictly off of blown block percentage, they strictly have a top 10 offensive line, man. Again, not overall blown block percentage, not in pass blocking blown block percentage, and then 10th in run blocking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that I'm kind of shocked by that. And I don't know if if it was us putting on kind of a, I don't know, like, because I felt like that we talked about how, yeah, we saw somebody blowing blocks, that guys weren't finishing their assignments, that maybe they were being a little bit lazy at times, that there were certain types of stuff like that. But I mean, you're telling me they're a top 10 offensive blocking group in the run game and the pass game. I actually did think in the pass game, maybe that was a little bit more kind of made sense. But as far as the running game, I'm not going to lie. I thought they'd be between 20, 25. That's what I thought. And again, that may be a testament of like whether or not the running backs got enough out of that, the holes and the opportunities they had. But I don't know what to think about that, to be honest, because and part of me wants to think like, hey, we're going to take such a big step this next year. But the other part, like, what if you were to tell me we were the top 5, top 7, pass protecting offensive lines, I'd be like, oh, that's amazing. But we'd only jump 2 spots. So it's like, and the run game is even bigger to me. So
I was expecting somewhere around the 20 mark. I really was. Yeah. So that's pretty impressive. So again, PFF, most of the year, I think they graded us as one of the worst run blocking teams in the league. Again, I've seen a lot of guys not getting to their block, but maybe it's that too. Maybe it can't be counted as a blown block, an initial blown block if they don't get to the point, right? That could be the case. Maybe that's what I've seen and that's not being counted, but I'm happy to see those numbers. I know that, man. That's kind of surprising. So, all right, let's go to the chat real quick since we already got – well, actually, let me finish up with this. What's the key addition that we added to offensive line? Obviously, we lost John Runyon. I think that could be addition by subtraction. He just wasn't playing very well last year. What's the key addition, Jake? I hate to put you on the spot, but what comes to mind when I say, okay, what did you add at the offensive line in the offseason?
I mean, you'd have to say Morgan, right?
You got it, Jordan Morgan. So what I did was I pulled the SIS data for Jordan Morgan in college, okay? Now, keep in mind, we just talked about the blown block percentage was somewhere around, 2%? I think it was a little over 2% overall. So if you go to Arizona and you find Jordan Morgan and we go blown block percentage, look at his blown block percentage on all plays. And again, college is way different than pros. I got you. But Jordan Morgan, 1.1% blown block percentage, significantly better than Green Bay's offensive line as a whole. So when you look at that number and that statistic, and again, if you go to pass blocking, it just jumps to 1.7. And then when you go to run blocking, it's actually, check this out. This is really, really exciting stuff right here. Let me go over just a touch. Let me try to widen this out, probably make it a little easier. Here we go. So if you go to blown block percentage on running plays,
what?
According to this, Jordan Morgan did not have one single blown block in the running game. They said that he is a true left tackle and he is just an absolute athlete at being able to get to the next level. And that would suggest, hey, he's a good run blocker, right? Because, when you think of an athlete in the run blocking game from an offensive line perspective, you think of power plays, a lot of GT pulls, right? Or maybe a pin and pull. But there's also an aspect called duo. And with duo, it's basically vertical power. So you're looking to double to the next level, right? And essentially what it is was it's when you run a power play, an offensive line is actually moving over at least 1, maybe 2 gaps to lead block. Well, with duo, it's called vertical power because you're not skipping a lane. You're not going over a gap, but you are blocking to a point to the second level. So now there's some inside zone runs that's not duo, and that's a very big, I'm not even entering that conversation. There are people, if you type in duo or zone on Twitter, you will see all kinds of arguments on Twitter. That's duo. No, that's zone. It's so hard to determine, is that an inside zone run or is it duo? Some would say, well, duo is zone. I talk to a lot of coaches that say, no, it ain't. You don't understand that blocking scheme. So I'm going to plead ignorance in that regard. But yeah, Jordan Morgan, man, you could see what Green Bay had in mind with him, Jacob. This dude was one of the safest picks in the draft based off where they were picking at, man. And you heard Belichick on draft night too. So I just thought I'd pull that up. Any comments you want to make on that, man? Because it's pretty impressive that he is significantly better than Green Bay's offensive line as a whole from a rate standpoint in blown block percentage.
Yeah, I think what's crazy too is if you look at it, the guy, I I first thought, oh man, 0% means that's maybe an error. But you look up, all the other guys that are in that ballpark have 1 to 10 to 15 to 60 snaps. Jordan Morgan has 754. 40% of his snaps were run blocking snaps. Basically, 60% was the pass blocking snaps. So I think that is an actual real stat. Jordan Morgan is that guy. I think that if you give him time to develop into, his head is spinning right now. It's been pretty obvious. And from what Coach LaFleur has even said is that like, hey, he's drinking from a fire hose right now is what it sounds like. But I think that there's no way that you cannot say that the guy that can perform at that level over that many snaps with that level of competition, because Arizona plays some pretty decent teams. And he went against the best D end in the league, best edge rusher, and kind of shut him down. So I think that Jordan Morgan is maybe going to be a little bit more of a developmental type of player that we would have hoped that he would have been more of like a day one starter. But I think that he is going to eventually make us all very happy that we drafted him.
I think so too, man. It wasn't the sexy pick, but I think in the end it's going to go, man, what a draft pick. Coach Lynn in the chat said, we run duo all the time. Coach, if you wouldn't mind, if you got a chance, he may have already left too, but if you're still in here, just give a brief description of how you would describe duo to a casual fan. I love asking coaches this because most of the time the definition is pretty close to the same, but everyone's got their own they'll put like a little additional with this or without that. It's just really interesting. So I'd love to know what your take is on that.
I maybe have heard you say this, Clayton, but is it like, if you really want to dumb it down to the cliff notes, is it like in a gap, we're attacking a gap, in a zone, we're attacking an area? Is that fair to say kind of?
Yeah, it's very well, with zone, you're blocking to a point, you're blocking to an area. With
duo is more of like,
with gap assignment, it's okay, everybody's got their assignment. That's your guy, right? And we're, going, it's designed for a gap as opposed to from the running back's perspective in zone, it's find the open space and go, because these guys are, what you're allowing the defense to do is take themselves out of the play, right? To be overly aggressive. With duo, I think it to me, it feels like a hybrid of zone and gap, but again, it's the best way it's been explained to me, vertical power. You're looking to possibly steal a gap by getting down the field. So we'll see what he says if he chimes back in. He may go, I don't have time for you knuckleheads, and I completely agree. So, or completely understand, I should say. CJ in the chat said 4 huge receivers on Packers came from Nevada, North Dakota State University, the Beavers, and South Dakota State.
That's awesome.
Wild. That is wild.
That's awesome.
And you know what? People probably think this is stupid, but in my mind, I honestly believe it has a lot to do with those guys have experience playing in cold weather. They're used to it.
Good point.
So you can get a superstar from Miami, Florida, but boy, when that -5 hits, like I was talking about on my kneecaps there, whoo, they get out there and go, all of a sudden that superstar is mediocre, So you got to get that beer cheese soup in you, man, if you're going to perform at that type of weather. AFAM in the chat, good to see you, buddy. He says we don't have enough defensive linemen. That's all he's got. I love it. Hey, you can never have too many people on both lines, really, as far as contributors, because guys are going to get banged up. There's no two ways about that. And Coach actually asked a question earlier. That's probably what AFAM was referring to. Coach Lynn said, if we were to pick up a free agent on defense or offense, what position do you think it will be? Jacob, that's a great question.
That's a good question. Man,
that's tough. For me, it would be defensive tackle. And the reason being is because like Devontae Wyatt, if we have injuries on the edge, I think Devontae Wyatt can play defensive end in this 4-3. Carl Brooks has proven at Bowling Green, and granted it was Bowling Green, but he can play defensive end in the 4-3. So if you've got that flexibility from the inside out, but you don't have that flexibility from the outside in, meaning Rashawn Gary, it's not ideal for him to play inside, right? He's trained his whole game around being that edge defender. So I would choose defensive tackle. And I'm telling you, man, as I was reading that question, the first person that come to mind, Super Bowl year back in 2010, Howard Green. Do you guys remember that big boy?
Oh, dude. Remember
he played such a huge role, Jacob.
He reminds me too. Remember, was it Grady Jackson that we had for like 1 year? Or
dude, Grady Jackson. God rest his soul. My brother just passed away. It's wild that you brought up Grady Jackson. Grady Jackson was one of his favorite players. He was not a Packer fan, but he seen me watch so many Packer games. He's like, who is that? Was he number 90? What was he, 90? 5. Am I thinking right? I can't
No,
remember.
I
I can't
I
remember
thought
his number.
he
My
was
brother,
big, boy.
my brother seen him. He was like, I love that dude. That dude's because he looked like one of those guys back there cooking at a good restaurant. I'll just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? So I love it, man. Yeah, I'm gonna miss that guy, man. That was my football buddy. But
Batham says he was 76. Andy says 78. I think that sounds. Both
I
of
would
them
have to
sound
go
right.
with 76. I think he was 76. We got to look it up. I'm going to look it up right now. Jacob, say something smart.
I remember him. I remember obviously back in my youth when we had guys like Gilbert Brown. I remember even too, like watching the Vikings when they had the Williams wall. Do you remember that? Kevin and Pat Williams. I mean, there is something to be said about this.
Where do you guys see this cat?
Oh no, you got him. And that's why I have so much hopes for Slayton. I want TJ Slayton to just that dude. You ever seen him with that visor he's got on with the dude? He's a mean looking mother, and I want him to just eat this year. God,
I love this dude, man. Keep talking. It's good. I'm trying to get one that doesn't have.
Professor Kick says, "Why does it look like Jacob is wearing a stick-on beard?" I don't know, man. Everybody, I had many people accuse me of that I have a fake beard.
I've been a fake beard making fun of Jacob, but yeah.
Hey, Clayton does have a fake beard. That is,
it's around here somewhere.
100% true.
When I told Mandy I was going to do that and show you one night, she went, "Oh," she said, "Can I shop for the beard?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got this."
Of course she did.
Yeah, she was excited about it.
She's like, somehow Mandy has a beard coupon because she does so much shopping.
Oh my God, 75, Grady Jackson. Look at that guy. Tell me that don't bring back some memories right there, Jacob.
That boy is hustling.
I'm telling you, dude. That was around the time, if I remember correctly, I became a Packer fan. It was around 03, so I'm not sure exactly what year he was on the roster. But yeah, that was Grady Jackson. We got another picture here too. I like this one. You want the close up shot? Tell me that boy don't know how to eat. Look at my guy right there. Had the gap in between. He was missing the front tooth or something. My brother loved him.
We gotta go back to another picture of him. I want to make that into a meme. That's like when you hear the McRibs coming back.
Yes. No, when Emilio surprises you with cannoli. Right there.
Cannolis are on.
That's it. There, man. No doubt about it. Let's leave that up for a minute, just for old time's sake.
Yeah.
All right. So I would be defensive tackle. Jacob, did you answer the question while I was looking for that or no?
I didn't. I kind of copped out. When I would. It honestly took me a while. I was thinking about it while we were sitting here talking. I think I'd still go cornerback, and but not like just any random dude. It would have to be somebody that's graded well, that makes sense, and just because of the fact that I just don't know. And I guess that's, man, I still might go back on that. I'd probably go offensive line if you had to pick one for just the defense or offense. If I had to go defense, I'd probably go cornerback. If I had to go offense, I'd definitely go offensive line.
Yeah, definitely.
Some cool stud guard, some stud center.
Surprise. We both went trenches, right? So those guys, they take a beating throughout the year. Eric Sutherland says, we bring in Jacobs, draft Lloyd, and Morgan. Being a great run blocker makes perfect sense. It's almost like Goody had a plan, right here.
That's it.
Funny how that works. So Coach Lynn did answer the question. He said it's power with double teams, no puller, basically vertical power. That's how it's been explained to me. So thank you for answering, Coach. I just, like I said, some coaches describe stuff different. So I also heard Mike Wall, when I asked him, I said, how would you describe duo? And he went, what, you mean double-double? He called it double-double. And what he meant was two double teams working their way to the second level. So vertical power. You're not switching gaps. So yeah, pretty cool, man. Everybody was guessing 76, 75. They were all going through it. It ended up being, 76. What would they guess? 76, 78. It ended up being 75 for Big Grady Jackson, by the way. So awesome. Man, we got 164 on YouTube. Appreciate y'all. Please take just a quick second, hit that like button before we wrap up here. It would help us more than you know. We appreciate you.
And share. Out. Just share. Share it everywhere. I don't care.
Absolutely. Got a bunch of people on Rumble too and X. I think we got a total of, I don't have Rumble pulled up right now. I would say we're probably somewhere around 260, 270 total. So not bad for a little Monday evening here, everybody getting the work week started. So, Jacob, any parting thoughts at all, brother?
Man, I'm just excited that we're able to every day we talk about this, how little behind the scenes coverage here, guys. We don't do much
no
planning.
Prep at all.
We don't do any planning. Usually it's I hop on here about 2 minutes before we go live. Emilio's been on for about 15 minutes listening to music, blaring it, while Clayton tries to do some show prep and Tim kind of pops on with me. And then we just think like, what are we going to do? How are we going to talk? And so anyways, I would just like to thank again. It's awesome to me that it's July 1st, the year of our Lord, 2024. It's 8:02 p.m. on a Monday night, and we got like 300 plus people somehow watching us for some reason. So it's awesome. It means that we're all crazy, you know what's, but we love the game. We love this team, and we are dedicated to make sure that we give some content at least every day, every night. And we're like weeks away from real football. Like
it's crazy, bro. It's July 1st. We're 16 days away from rookies reporting for training camp.
Crazy.
Guys, we're going to be in the swamp butt of summer, and these guys are going to be, I said about swamp butt of summer, and these guys are going to be reporting for training camp. You're still going to be grilling outside, swimming. If you got a pool, you're in the pool, in and out of the pool, bro. From this point forward, the content's only going to ramp up, and we're going to finish with highlighting Packers win over the Bears week 18, the Packers huge playoff win over the Cowboys. We'll break down the 49ers loss because it was a damn good game, and we were this close with the youngest team in the league. Come on. So then when we finish that up, if we've got time, we'll go back and rewatch the 2010 highlights from that Super Bowl victory, maybe a couple of those playoff games too. That would be fun. Philly, Chicago, big BJ Raji.
Chicago.
Yeah, we're going to do it. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. We appreciate everybody hanging out. And if you would, hit that sub button for us, man. So you know when we go live, we try to go live every day for the most part we do. And again, I just want to say it's been a rough week. And you guys, I'm not gonna get emotional. I'm gonna try my best not to, but I just want everybody who's watching, everybody who's reached out. It's overwhelming how many people who watch the show, listen to the show, have reached out just to say, hey, man, if you need something, we're here. It's like one big family, without the weird uncle. Well, I don't. Eric Sutherland's in here, so we got the weird. We're good. We love you, Eric. You make this show, man. Just a couple more comments here, real quick. CJN said that pick looks like the big fat kid meme. Yeah, the kid
yeah,
running.
he does.
Yeah, he does look like a fat kid chasing down cake right there, don't he? Absolutely love it. See, this is what I love about our listeners too. CJN says, just watch Chuck Cecil. Just watch a highlight reel of his back at Arizona State taking a pick six for 100 yards. Man, there is football to be watched if you know where to look. I'm telling you, because you can go to YouTube and you can go to Rumble, wherever, and just type in, this specific player highlight reel. Or what I like to do is I like to just pick a random year and I'll go like 1994 Green Bay Packers and see what pops up. And next thing you know, you're watching the Packers battle the Cowboys with John Madden and Pat Summerall calling the game. It doesn't get any better. So anyway, anything else, Jacob? Anything at all, bud?
No, man. Again, I appreciate all of our listeners, all of our viewers, all of the podcast people. I hate that you had to go through anything that you're going through, but it is a testament of how great of a team that we've built and how much of a family, like you said, we are. And what's the quote? We're not assembling talent. We're putting together a team. Yeah. Something like that.
We're building a team. We're not collecting talent. Right.
Right. And I think that can be said, obviously, for the Green Bay Packers. I think it can be said for the PTA posse. There's a lot of people here that love you and hope that you're doing all right. And I'm one of them. So
absolutely. Hey, we'll get through it together, man. That's what it's all about. And that's everything that my brother lived for. That's how he lived his life. The people that have reached out from Knoxville, Tennessee, that he touched their lives was just unbelievable, man. I just shake my head like, man, what a man. He's my hero. And again, he was, like I said, 17, right at 18 years older than me. So he's more of a dad than a brother to me. And he'll be greatly missed. But at the same time, man, he showed me exactly what a man's supposed to be and how you're supposed to take care of the people that you love. And you're still even supposed to be nice to the people that might not treat you the way they should treat you, So we're having this conversation, this picture of Grady Jackson. I just love it. All right. We're out, guys. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow for PTA Live. We should be live at 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll come up with another good show for you guys and gals. But thank y'all so much for making us a part of your evening. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. And as always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.